Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Adapting. I am beyond excited for this one, honestly.
I'm really excited too. We're going to learn a little bit about adaptive farming today.
Yeah, and from this guy and his mother, what's his name? Myles?
Myles, yeah.
Yeah.
Myles, I've met him a couple of times, but I haven't really had too much opportunity to have a chat with him. This is something I know though. He's super funny. Mm-hmm. He's really determined. He's very kind, and he's got a really great group of people around him. So I think he's going to have a great story to share with us today, and his mom. I think they are going to have a great story to share with us today.
I mean, technically, because you said he made a ramp in this chicken coop. How he raises chickens, I don't know, but still.
I don't know how anybody raises chickens, to be honest with you. But
anyway, so he made a ramp into his barn and his bloody chicken coop. That is incredible.
Yeah, a fully wheelchair accessible farm. How cool is that?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wish I could go see it, honestly. But...
Yeah, me too. Maybe not today. But,
yeah, but we have no van. Sadly,
no. So we'll just have to jump into a chat and see what Myles and his incredible mom Denise have to say.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to go for it?
Let's do this thing.
I'm excited also. Sorry, had to rewind there for a second. My brain's a little slow today. I just got back from holidays. I'm excited to be at BIRS. So this is Brain Injury Relearning Services. And usually we record out of a little bit of a different location, but we decided to go on a little road trip for a few episodes. So
yeah, definitely.
Hope you enjoyed checking out some new venues. And yeah, let's go chat with Myles and his mom.
Yeah.
Cool. Myles, Denise, thanks for joining us. I'm excited to do this here at BIRS because I know it's been a really important part of your life for, quite a few years now. Mm-hmm. How long have you been involved with BIRS for?
9 or 8.
16 years.
16 years.
Whoa.
That's quite a long journey, eh? Mm. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, BIRS stands for Brain Injury Relearning Services.
That tells you more than you already need to know about the place, so.
So, Myles, I know that I could ask your mom all these questions and she'd give me the answer too, but I think something that really important is, especially through all the things you've been through, all the work you've put in, is that today we really want to hear your voice.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you have a lot to share, and I really want to learn about adaptive farming.
Yeah, what better person to hear the story from than the man himself?
So what if we start where it began? So how old were you when you were in your accident?
He was 21.
21.
Oh my God, that's my age. I need to be careful.
Wear your seatbelt.
You know where this place is.
Yeah.
Okay. You know where this place is.
Yeah. Well, that is important. It was a pretty significant accident from what I understand, Myles.
I think so.
Yeah. Do you remember any of what happened?
Not a bit.
Oh, wow.
I think that's kind of a gift.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Denise, do you
It
have
may
any
be frustrating,
details?
but
yeah. I think I'd be frustrated too. But again, I don't know that I'd want to remember that because I can't imagine the experience being very positive.
Yeah, I can't imagine that either.
So Denise, can you tell us a little bit about the accident?
he was he was a passenger in a vehicle. They were coming home from the bar. The driver was the bouncer, not impaired. This guy was impaired. But that might have saved his life. They hydroplaned on the highway, and they went across the boulevard and across the other side of the Trans-Canada and down an embankment right by the train tracks.
Oh my goodness.
Where the train goes under, and straight down, and he went through the windshield, skittered across the road and underneath a semi-trailer. And the Irvine Fire Department came out and found him because the truck driver saw this happening. And they came out to the vehicle and they found the driver. He was lodged in the sunroof.
Oh my
They
goodness.
had to extricate him. He was somewhat injured, but his recovery time was 3 weeks, so it wasn't horribly bad physically. Emotionally, it was
I can't
it was a
Yeah, I can't
huge,
imagine that.
huge trauma
Jeez.
for him.
Absolutely.
Wow.
But he came to enough to say, "Where's Myles?" So then they knew they had to look for somebody else.
Whoa.
Sounds like you had a pretty good buddy there taking care of you that night, hey?
Mm-hmm.
He sounds like a hero, honestly.
Mm.
I have a feeling we're going to learn a lot about those today.
Yep, definitely, definitely.
So that must have been a horrible day in your books too. I can't imagine that
was-
phone call.
Well, I didn't get that phone call until quite a bit later. I wasn't living here at the time. I was living in Drumheller, and I was sent up to Edmonton to take a course at NATE. I was going to become a NATE instructor, and I got the phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning saying my dad told me that Myles was on his way to Calgary in a helicopter. So I made my mad dash down to Calgary, and my dad rescued Myles's dog with Myles's brother from his house, and they had to break into his house. Broke
Sometimes
in through
it's
the kitchen
acceptable.
window onto
Yeah.
the glass table and went through it.
I mean, why do
They
they
saved
make glass
the dog.
tables? Why do they make glass tables? They can barely see them. Just cover the thing with pizza, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and then Trav made a mad dash up. Travis is Miles' brother. He made the mad dash up to Calgary as well. My mom and dad stayed here and just waited, but it was
Oh.
I mean,
thank you.
I've
You
got-
were planning this, weren't you?
No, I actually just thought I was going to sneeze again, but I'm really grateful that I had them. You know, I didn't. I threw those ones away. I promise. You know, I've
wow.
2 boys, and I've gotten a few phone calls, and that feeling when they said, "Are you so and so?" or when you get that, it's a devastating moment. I don't think people understand unless you've been there what that feels like. And still, even though so painful, I noticed too, the two of you finding little giggles between you about the most horrific day. And I feel like that says a lot about who you two are, or who you are as a family, really, along the way.
Finding something positive in a negative is a very good quality, honestly.
Sometimes it's the only way through.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, laughter can be good medicine. I tell my doctors frequently, yeah, I have a dark sense of humor, and I'm pretty sure it's the best prescription.
Yep. Even when I was being bullied ferociously, I was like, you know what? Laugh it off, continue. Having fun in like a negative situation sounds insensitive, but to be honest, it's a good way.
It's the way through.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, I think it is.
Yeah.
So how long was the stay in Calgary?
A month.
A month.
Yeah, he was in the intensive care for, I think it was 2 weeks.
Wow.
What?
And then from there, they moved him up to the neurology floor, and he stayed there for the rest of the time.
Do you remember any of the stay in the hospital,
No.
Myles? No. I was going to ask you if you got one of those really cool air beds, but
He wouldn't have any memory of it.
No.
Was he in a coma the entire time?
I guess you would have to call it that, but like we could see he didn't move at all. Wherever you put him is where he was. He was broken. His upper body was broken. He didn't look broken. They didn't fix. There was no cast. There was nothing. He was just him in his bed. All of like everything that healed was held in place just by his muscles, and it was a horrifying when the nurses would come in and turn him every 2 hours because they just come in and flip him over and like, he's broken, don't do that. But he didn't respond, so you don't know, but you know.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that nurses could do that.
Oh, nurses are very good at shutting off their emotions. Very good at it.
I think we have to compartmentalize things too.
Yeah, I smile too much to the doctors, honestly, because I'm like, they're here to trust, but when they say you're like, you have this with like no emotion, I'm like, show some compmpassion, please.
Some do, but some don't. And
We don't know about their jobs.
That's
either.
true. They probably have like one of the hardest jobs ever. They probably see a lot.
So now I know you have kind of this joking temperament to you, Myles. So
Me?
yeah. So I'm curious. So you gave your mom the scare of her lifetime, right? Do you ever play any jokes? Like,
It's pretty rare. I don't know.
I don't know. Something tells me that there's quite a few little jokes and pranks because I haven't been here that long and I've seen a few little things. So that was the injury piece of it. That's the horrible piece. What's some of the incredible things, Myles? What's some of the incredible work that you've done? I know you've done a lot of work here with Brain Injury Relearning Services, and it's obviously important to you, this place, because it's tattooed on your body, right? So, what are some of the things that you've accomplished that you feel really proud of?
I can kind of walk again, but
you can walk.
with a cane.
You can walk with
It's
a
all right.
cane.
They have super cool canes.
He doesn't need a cane. He walks without a cane,
Oh, yeah.
but he needs assistance still. So that's a work in progress.
Feels a little safer, I would think.
Yeah, definitely.
It would for me. I'm a wobbly human being too, so I
It wouldn't help.
it makes a difference sometimes.
Yeah.
I sometimes use hiking sticks when even just going for a walk because I'm just not steady. So I get that.
Are you currently going through physiotherapy?
I'm not sure.
Sort of. We go about once every 2 months right now. We're just getting little tips and tricks Diana is coming with so that we know what to work on to try and improve his walking. He can walk. He just needs to improve it so that it becomes efficient as compared to, something that knocks your socks off for the rest of the day.
For sure. For sure.
Because it doesn't take much.
It wipes you out pretty quick, hey?
Definitely, yeah.
What's some other things that you've been working on here at BIRS?
I can't remember.
Have you and Diana worked on some memory stuff? Are you working on doing some memory work?
I think we did.
What are you doing?
Straight hair.
When Myles came here, he was sitting in a chair that tilted back. He was sort of able to talk, but mostly myself and my mom were the only ones that could really understand what he was saying. That's what it was when we got here in the beginning. Their exercises for him then was standing up on a tilt table, which is just a table that you lay down on, and then it stands you up. And the idea of that is to help wake up your brain. By standing on your feet, you wake up your brain.
Bearing weight.
So it started with a tilt table. And then what kind of happened from there? What did that journey all look like from your side of things?
I'm not sure.
Do you remember going to BIRS at the old building?
Not really, no.
No.
Old building.
Yeah, they used to be in the
Down the.
Brewmaster building.
Mhm.
That way.
Brewmaster?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
isn't there,
Oh, so
Kingsman
you do
Magic Bar?
remember going there a
A
little bit.
little bit. More so I just remember because every time we go by, she points out and says those were birds.
Oh,
used to
that's
be
fair. That's fair.
When he was going there, he was just doing cognitive, working on his speech, working on things like that. And then in March, he was accepted up at Ponoka at the Halvard Johnson. It's an institute for brain injury up there as well. And it's very,
intense.
they've got everything. They've got recreation therapy, they've got physio, they've got OTs, they've got everything, speech, yeah. And it became his full-time job. And at first he was living in there. They had, I don't know, about 20 clients in each area kind of thing. And he would get up in the morning, have his breakfast in kind of a hospital type situation. But then once you're out of your room, you're into life. And for him, it typically started with going down to the school, and they would talk about current events and whose birthday or anything that they could, kind of understand, okay, this is what's going on right now. This is what day it is. And then he would have something else, whether it was physio or whatever. And then they would have a nap. And then they would have a couple more things, whether it was OT or recreation or whatever. And then they would all come back together for lunch in the cafeteria. And then same thing in the afternoon. They'd have 2 different things and then a nap.
A little break in
And
between.
some people just ended at that point. Sometimes they had a couple more things. But it was a schedule to try and get back onto a schedule again. And we met a lot of people up there. And it kind of made us realize, well, maybe me more so, made me realize how lucky we are. Things could have been a lot worse.
For sure. In these situations, I think there's always that moment where you there's a tipping point of gratitude. And a lot of people, I don't think, understand that piece either. That even through this crazy, darkest piece, there's another person to be compassionate for, and there's something to be grateful for in our own situations.
Definitely.
So it sounds like that was a really positive piece of the journey, though, to
He hated it.
Okay,
He
so
called it hell.
okay, so maybe it sucked to be in, and
But
it
it's
sounds like you
probably
got
better for me.
lots of.
I mean,
It's
they said
fair.
it was like school, so enough said.
Yeah.
But sorry, Myles, I cut you off there. What were you saying?
It was pretty good, but at the same time, like I said, it was hell.
It was a lot of hard work. And
For sure.
like it was taking Myles from a place of nothing to when he came home, he had a rack behind him with slings and pulleys so he could lift his arms now.
Wow.
He could feed himself a little bit. He still needed help, but he could speak well enough that with some effort, you could understand him. Like anybody could with some effort. He wasn't loud. Before he went up to Ponoka for this, he couldn't blow out a match. He had no air to make noise with.
And now you're just out there crushing things, hey?
You're flying through those obstacles like Superman.
So that's a huge change in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And then the work has just continued from then, hey?
Yeah. When we came back, we came right back to BIRS because they've always been the most consistently helpful. Of course, we had appointments at the hospital for physio and things, and you'd get in there and they would say, okay, we're going to try this or this, and they'd get you all set up, and then they'd say, okay, we'll set another appointment for next month, and then by next month that employee isn't there anymore, so they can't fit you in anymore.
Yeah.
But BIRS is always here, as long as you're willing to work with them.
And you guys have been with Diana for, has it been for most of the time or the whole time?
I think it was from the beginning.
Diana was
From the
Myles'
hospital.
first first
Support person?
support person, yeah. And Myles was her first client.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
And so they have a pretty special bond. But we did kind of get shuffled away from Diana for a little while, but now we're back again with her. So
That's awesome.
Glad to hear that, honestly.
And I really want to know about the farming piece. So we've heard where you've started from and this incredible journey along the way. And I know that the time in Ponoka, really, it was a year. Am I correct? It was a year? It feels like a long time, but in the vastness of this whole journey, it's kind of just a little snippet of the piece. But to move forward from, like you were saying, not being able to do anything in the beginning to being 100% dependent to being where you are today. What year, do you remember what year Ponoka was?
that was 2009 until 2010.
Okay, so that's not even that long ago in the grand scheme of things, really.
Not that long ago. That's when I first moved to Canada. So, in my terminology,
Well, in the grand scheme of things, though. So here you are now on this journey, and I'm told that you're into agriculture.
I raise chickens and sell eggs.
So,
Cows too.
so did you work with cows before your injury?
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about cows? I think they're amazing.
It tastes good.
They do.
I mean,
taste
I'd
good.
never have the guts to work with cows because, one, they're bigger than me. Second, they could charge at any moment. Third, I have a sensitive nose. So, and plus, I've never been a farmer in my life. So,
I love cows. I think they're amazing.
They are
I
cool.
like their little faces and their silly eyes. I also like a good T-bone.
yeah. Who doesn't love a good T-bone steak?
So, what's your favorite part about raising animals, aside from eating them?
Stuff you get from them. Food or meat for one, but chickens, they have tons of eggs.
So you're food driven.
That means money in my pocket.
So, Myles, I have a little tickle in my throat now. I'm super sorry. I'm not crying, you're crying. No, I'm kidding.
Come here.
So, what kinds of things do you do on the farm? Like, what about equipment, driving equipment? How has that changed for you? Or do you still drive things like quads and skid steers?
Yeah, a little bit. Not so much skid steers, but
But you have.
I have.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I got my quad in the garage.
So you just fire it up and go? Do you make any adjustments to it?
No.
No?
Wow.
Throw on my helmet though.
There you go.
I mean, that's an adjustment. That counts.
Watch the corners.
Don't need another brain injury.
Well, Myles runs the tractor and he runs the skid steer and he drives the truck when we're in an area. We live in a coulee, so some of our areas aren't the safest for just a one-handed driver. So we get him into safe areas and then, yeah, he can drive and he hauls tools around for us or whatever.
Mm.
Marks out the fences that need to be replaced.
dude.
Wow.
Like, so many people, I think, give up when something happens, but it doesn't sound like that's happened at all.
That's
You
it,
just
I
did-
guess.
Just fight your way back through it, hey?
Yeah, the words raising chickens let me know you had some bravery, because chickens are mean animals.
I love chickens, too.
Well, there's this.
I meant to go to other people's farms and ranches, not to have my own, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
there's this place called Figley Down Farm in England, and when I was young, I used to feed the chickens all the time. When it was out of food, they'd just be like swarming towards me. I'm like, okay, I have more in my bag. It's like,
I don't feed them by hand.
oh, you don't feed them by hand?
It'd be dangerous.
Yeah.
You got 20 chicken feeders that's gonna be sure they're full.
So how do you do that? Like, how did you adapt the chicken coop? Because every chicken coop I've seen hasn't been something that's wheelchair accessible.
Mine has a ramp going to the door. So I can just wheel in, collect eggs.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
My dad built a lot of ramps.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a ramp in the house. We've got a ramp at the barn. We've got a ramp at the chicken coop. Yeah, there's ramps all over.
So you guys, the families come together and like adapted the whole space.
Our family has always been pretty tight, and I would say that this has probably made us just that much more tight.
Yeah, buck that right up, hey? What's something that you think? Okay, I'm going to tell you this. You can think about it for a second first, and I'm going to come back to you. So I want you to think about something that you think the world should know about your mom. And then, unless you have an answer for me right away.
I don't think you do.
Okay, so you take a hot second on that one, okay? So something that you think the world should know about your mom. And then I want to ask you, what is something that you think everyone should know about Myles?
Honestly, I
should
think
know.
most people that know Myles already know, you know,
Yeah.
what he's all about. He is what he is. He's not hiding anything, that's for sure.
Yeah. What about people that don't know him? For example, I see.
They learn.
What's that?
They learn.
His sense of humor is insane. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier about the don't give up factor, and that Myles has this don't give up factor when so many other people do.
Yeah, myself
That's for
included,
sure,
honestly.
yeah. Yeah, he's willing to try everything. Might not like everything, but he's willing to try everything.
You think that's made a big difference on his recovery?
Absolutely.
You seem pretty in control of this whole thing, from what I can tell. Right? Options come up, you'll give it a shot. Pretty in control of your recovery. You're driving this bus. Or tractor, would that be a better metaphor?
It's like the great Wayne Gretzky says, you won't make those goals if you don't take those shots. That's more of a hockey reference than I'd like it to be, but still.
No, he plays hockey too, so.
You play hockey too?
Okay.
What other kind of cool stuff do you do?
Sledge hockey.
Do you play with the assassin? We talked to the assassin
Yeah, we talked to
earlier
the
in
assassin
this
in a
podcast.
different episode. So
Who's the assassin?
Oh, goodness. I'm terrible with names, so this is a fun fact.
yeah, I forget his name.
I actually had to write down your names down here because I don't remember names. I remember people's story. I spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
I know I spelled it wrong.
When she first met me, she had to write down my name.
Yeah. Even in my phone, I have everything identified as someone's first name and where I know them from as their last name, because I just don't remember names like that at all.
Yeah.
But no, he was this really amazing sledge hockey player. His mom actually works for us here, and we had a great little chit chat. So what's the coolest thing about sledge hockey for you? Did you play sledge hockey, or did you play hockey before your injury?
No, I very much kind of despised hockey.
Oh.
Wasn't a very good Canadian, I guess.
I mean.
So that's a new thing for you.
That's
right?
new, yeah.
What other kinds of things do you do now?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Are you a bocce ball player?
Yeah.
Or any of those types of sports?
Play bocce.
Yeah,
Is it
boccia
boccia?
is the wheelchair adapted version of bocce. Bocce is played on grass. Boccia is played on a floor. And the balls are more like a stiff
Isospheres?
sandbag kind of ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
So they kind of land as compared to rolling.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Way to educate me there.
Mm-hmm.
Tara would be so proud of us for doing that. Myles also curls.
Oh, wow.
And what else do you do with Tara? Tara has medicine, had adaptive
Yep.
sports and recreation, and they're pretty fantastic people. They have something for everybody, and it's meant to bring persons with disabilities out to do things that they normally would say, oh, I shouldn't be doing that, or I can't do that, or whatever. And they include families and anybody just to make it bigger.
That's what
That's
I love.
awesome.
That's what I love to hear, honestly.
Was it Mike Krakalovich?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Mike.
Yep.
She didn't crown her people.
Krakalakowicz. He plays sledge hockey with
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
he's cool. His nickname was the Assassin. That's why I remember.
It's a small world after all. Every time something like that happens, the
So,
song just comes out.
We're coming to the end. I'm probably way over time that I should be talking. This is why they set up a timer that I typically forget about or ignore. So I just want to make sure I have this right. So you used to raise cows.
Still do.
Oh, you still raise the cow.
Yep.
So you do cows and chickens now?
He has purebred cattle as well. We have commercial cows on the farm, and he has his chickens. Yeah.
Okay, I've reset it.
That's
I have my
pretty-
question. Are there any other animals you've raised?
Well, we got dogs, but and we have had pigs, but that's more his brother thing.
That's
We have
pretty-
guinea fowl. I forgot about the guineas.
Guineas?
Yeah.
Oh, those are birds.
Stupid birds. Very noisy birds.
We bought Myles a kayak this year.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it doesn't sound like anything has slowed you down from anything. You're a pretty remarkable human being.
Definitely.
I think we all could take a little piece of insight from you, a little bit of inspiration to not give up so easily. Because it sounds like you created a really incredible life for yourself with some pretty incredible people around you.
Yeah.
Any thoughts yet on that awesome thing you should share about your mom?
She's an amazing person.
Aww.
Yeah, she seems like a really amazing person.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There was
Well, I wish. Oh, sorry.
There was a quote that my dad told me after I got diagnosed that said, if an obstacle comes at you, come back roaring. You came back roaring like a lion.
I guess, maybe I need to be put in a wheelchair.
Do you think you're braver now? Has that changed? Do you think you do more and try more things now in your life?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, he was pretty
adventurous to be in.
pretty capable individual before. He was doing a lot of things before too. He was flying airplanes.
What?
And, what else were you doing? You were a long distance runner in school, soccer player, cadet, and he was running his own rig.
So
5 things.
So really, you just found a new way to live your best life.
I guess. Put it that way, I suppose.
Is there something you think people should know about you or that you would tell someone who is struggling? You could take a minute to think about it if you like to. Someone who's struggling, maybe someone who's had an accident or an illness that's unexpected. I guess all accidents are unexpected.
Don't give up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing a little bit of your story.
Yeah, thank you so much, Myles.
All right, any last words? It's your turn. You tell a joke if you want to, too.
No. Why the chicken cross the road?
Why the chicken cross the road? All right, why?
I don't know.
Oh my! Wow!
It's a stupid chicken. You think it's gonna do that?
I mean, chickens are insane. So
And on that note, thank you so much
yeah, thanks a
to
lot.
both of you for coming and sharing a little bit about your story. I totally want to see you in a skid steer or driving a tractor. Maybe you could shoot us a copy of a picture or a little video we could throw in here.
Yeah, we could just.
Videos of
I
him on
think
the
the people want
tractor
to
and
see
skid
Myles
steer.
crushing it on
Yeah,
the
if
farm.
we were like live in a bar, they'd be like, "Show us, show us, show us."
All right, so Diana, you've been working with Myles for a really long time.
Yes, for 15 years, on and off, right? Sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, it's all right.
That's a whole career almost.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is one of the coolest things that you know to be true about Myles?
Well, so many things. To pick just one will be really, really
Okay,
difficult.
maybe what are some of the coolest
But,
things?
The determination. It's like so determined to just work on improving his skills, working on just being able to be more independent, and working on walking, just being able to walk him more independently.
Yeah, when we were having a talk with him and his mom, she was sharing that when he first came out of the hospital and into services, that he was using a tilt table, and like to go to now where he's walking and riding a bike and using a kayak and all of these things.
Mhm.
Riding a four-wheeler.
Mhm.
That's insanity.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
You know, I think sometimes we just assume that when something happens that it's an ending,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it doesn't seem like that's been the case for him at all.
No, it's never an ending. I know the very, very first day I met with Myles, just working on being able to lift a leg and just being able to struggle with that. But then coming back from Halvard Johnson and doing all that rehabilitation there, seeing the huge changes and then being able to transition to weight bearing on his legs to work into the transition to walking again.
Very cool. So what is your role as part of this whole piece? So you're a staff member here at Brain
Yes.
Injury Relearning Services. What's your role as part of this journey?
So I am a support coordinator for Myles here, and I work with his case management, and we do just support planning, working on what his goals are, whatever it is that he wants to do. We plan around that, whether that be connecting with other community resources and other agencies like OTs, PTs, and then we work with them to develop a program so we can then assist Myles in carrying it forward, however long it's going to take him to complete those goals.
Okay, so then you're kind of like that liaison with the specialist. So the specialists give you the information
Mhm.
and then you're able to provide that day-to-day more consistent. Because like when we were talking, Denise mentioned that like the appointments might be a month apart to go
Mhm.
back to, say, like an OT,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Occupational therapist is what we're talking about, just in case you're not sure. But so that might be like, that's a big difference. Whereas you have the flexibility. So like, how often do you have the ability then to maybe work with Myles to help him on those goals as compared to like an OT once every month?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, that is where it is tough for them to support clients. And then oftentimes they're working with acute care. So it's very short term. So we're able to kind of draw it out a little bit further for the individuals. So we've been working with Myles. We try to work 5 days a week. And then they're going to shift here and there depending on availability of staff and what's going on. But typically about 5 days a week for a couple hours, an hour and a half to a couple hours to work on his programming.
That's really incredible.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say has been the biggest marker of success that you've seen? And I don't like really that word success, but I'm having trouble figuring a different way to phrase that. What's the biggest achievement, the biggest
Milestone. That's the word you're
what's
looking
the
for.
biggest milestone that you've seen?
I would say,
It's tricky. It
It is
sounds like he's had
tricky.
so many.
I'm seeing huge increase in independence. Just doing everything on his own, really. There's nothing that this man cannot do. So increased independence.
The farming is really incredible to see how that's all adapted and how he's still working with all of his animals and running his own herd and his chickens.
The chickens. Lots of lorry.
and the beautiful cows, the beautiful highlands.
Yes. I love cows so much. I love their little faces.
Yeah, he loves what he does. He enjoys it. Once you get him going on talking about his farming, you're not going to get him to stop. It's always a good time.
That's fantastic. So what can you tell us a little bit more then about the roles of brain injury? So like we mentioned, okay, like that might be a liaison with a specialist, but what other kinds of things can be worked on here at Brain Injury to support individuals now? And what's the population that you work with? Obviously individuals with brain injury, but is there a specific area within a brain injury diagnosis that you work with?
So we just support any individual who has acquired a brain injury after birth. So we will work with you in cognitive rehabilitation. So that's things like working on relearning skills, building strategies for memory, attention skills, problem solving, and a lot of like visual spatial aspects of it too. So depending on what you're looking for. So we do start with, the assessment process where we're doing a brief test of head injury. It's a norm reference test to kind of decide generally where some of those deficiencies might lie. So then we have a starting point to develop a program to work on that cognitive rehabilitation. And then we also, of course, work with PTs and OTs with the physical rehabilitation piece for if they're wanting to relearn how to walk or, use a spoon on their own at meal times or things like that, and speech therapy as well. So we work with speech therapists and we carry on the activities again that's outlined by them to support them in whatever goals they have in speech to better communicate with the people around them. And then also community home management. So if you're having struggles with, let's say you get back home and you're thinking you want to relearn how to cook again, maybe start cleaning, organizing. So we'll come in there and work with you in showing you some of those skills so that way you can eventually be able to do them on your own. So we fade out some of those services so then you're independent.
That's really incredible.
That's awesome. Many departments for just one organization. That is brilliant.
Well, and I wonder too then what would happen to individuals like brain injuries. People think, a brain injury is some big catastrophe thing, but really a lot of people are impacted by brain injury, like domestic violence, concussions. I know you guys do some preventative stuff through bike or helmet safety and things of that nature. How do you think that kind of education piece impacts the community when it comes to brain injury?
Oh, so the injury prevention piece is just really fantastic because we get to go out there in the community through those bike rodeos to show community members how to just be safe and make it fun as well. So teaching how to wear the gear properly. We go into schools and teach concussion and helmet fittings and just working with other agencies, to be able to kind of work together and in just sharing all that information and educating the community. So
I think that's a really important piece of things because, in all honesty, I didn't put a concussion together with brain injury. It was just a concussion, right? It's just something
is a hard hit to the head in my book. But then as I grew older, I was like, concussion is a serious thing.
Yes. So I think people are taking it more seriously now, right? Because concussions can happen anytime, like a fall, careful winter coming up, you're going to slip on the ice. So a concussion is just essentially your brain. It's sitting in your skull, surrounded by that cerebrospinal fluid. So when it was when your head jerks and your head moves inside the brain and hits the inside of your brain, and therefore causing either bruising or
kind of like a collision in your head.
In your head.
Ooh.
I think that's something. You're right. I think there's a lot more awareness around that. And that speaks a lot to what agencies like BIRS does, for sure. But yeah, I never put those little pieces together. I know you guys do car seat clinics too to make sure those little ones are safe.
Yes, as a part of injury prevention. So we're partner up with the Southeastern Alberta Traffic Safety Coalition with enforcement and, AMA and, Alberta Health Services, things like that. So just a bunch of people who have this vested interest in injury prevention, and it's a passion, and we get out in the community and just teach and show as much as we can.
Well, I'm glad you're teaching stuff, because up until today, I thought concussions and brain injuries were different things. And causing brain injuries are not just accidents. There's also like people purposefully causing them. Concussions in football games, for example. American football, that's what I'm talking about. I'm British, so you can't mix that up. And basically like car crashes too.
Yeah.
Like a little
Domestic violence.
like a collision.
Violence,
Yeah. I have not been in any of those situations, but honestly, a concussion sounds horrid.
And that's why that awareness is so important too, right? Because then people can start to recognize what the signs are so that they can get that help and support with their medical team as quick as possible to work on healing that brain.
Yeah. Do you think time is an important factor in that?
Absolutely. I think when you first have a concussion, resting your brain is so key, right? So that includes like watching TV because your brain is stimulated, because your eyes are searching and the visual stimulation is happening, all the auditory processing happening, right? So resting is seriously resting, just relaxing. And I know watching TV might relax people, but your brain's working.
In talking with Myles and Denice earlier, she mentioned that in the beginning, that's really what the whole thing was. His body went into rest, coma type, right? That it's this natural response that happens to severe injury. So I think that that's a really good lesson for us all. Like Myles had that chance to rest, and then he did the work, right? So there's a time to wait and there's a time to go, right?
Yes.
It's a red light, green light game.
Yes.
So I think that's really important for people to understand of that too.
Yes, absolutely.
So Diana, what is your favorite part of your job? What do you think is the best piece about the work that you get to do?
Honestly, just being able to be a part of someone's life and just supporting them through essentially like kind of giving back their lives back as well, because we're helping them through that piece as well. So it's very rewarding.
I would think so.
I
Because
love
it really
that.
is.
I love that.
It is a pre-injury life and a post-injury life, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a really beautiful thing to help
Definitely.
people get
The
through.
fact that you're helping someone through the hardest part in their lives really sets in stone how amazing people are. Some people like to help those that are injured. Others are what I would like to call buttholes. So
yes, we do love what we do here. Otherwise, I feel like we wouldn't be here, I guess. Hey.
yeah,
I think it's a labor of love. It's a
Absolutely.
labor of love. Just before we cut out, is there anything else you would like to share about injury prevention or about your journey with Myles? Because really, we were here earlier talking about Myles, and I think he just brings to light such a bigger piece to this world.
I don't think I have enough time to talk about Myles. I wish we had more time,
Yeah.
but just watching the progression of his speech, from being barely able to hear your voice because it was a whisper, and now you're able to project your voice and we can hear you. Just the mobility,
And he's funny.
and he's funny, like
So
really funny guy.
Hilarious.
And just this overall independence, I think it's just fantastic. And he also has amazing supports too. I think that makes a big difference when you have that around you, because we have paid staff to do what we love and do, but then also just having that natural supports at home also makes a big difference.
Definitely.
What would your advice be on a closing moment? What would your advice be to someone who has suffered a traumatic brain injury, whether it's a recent injury or one in the past? What would your message be?
There is hope. Work with your medical team and just know what's out there, all those resources out there. So come see us. We'll help educate you. We'll help guide you. If it's something that we're not able to support you with, we'll find somewhere that will.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's brilliant.
Is there a national network for brain injury?
Yes, so it's the Alberta Brain Injury Network initiative.
So that's a provincial one. Is there a
Yes.
federal one?
Not as
Or is it
far
provincially kind of
provincial,
regulated?
yeah, for Alberta here for us, but that's where we get our
Okay.
funding.
So if you can't find resources local to you, check out Alberta Injury Prevention Network and let's see if they can maybe help connect you to some other resources. But as Anna said, there's always hope.
I have never questioned my own brain in my life.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Concussions being the same as brain injuries, I thought it was just a bump to your head. And I suffered many of those during my childhood.
I know, and I think that's been really something incredible about doing these videos is starting to learn more about people and injuries and injury prevention. And apparently we need to learn much more about farming because there's definitely so much more to explore there.
Definitely, because
But
making a bond with animals, I've done. I mean, I have a dog, but farm animals, they're really much harder to tame in a way. Because a cow charged me once, and dare I even tell you about the chickens?
oh, I love cows though. I have to admit, I really love cows. Their little faces, their squishy little eyes. I just love them. I love them so much, and they terrify me, but I love them. Chickens, I haven't had much to deal with, but yeah, I think it's really cool how his family came together and like adapted everything.
Yeah, that's like the closest a family has ever been that I've heard of that isn't my own.
They're really a team.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
they're really a team in this, and I think that's really an incredible
They're like
thing.
the Avengers of farming.
You know, injury and illness really can break people apart. They really can break apart a family, and just to hear how Denice was sharing that it's really brought them closer together. That's a really huge gift. It's a really huge gift, and not everybody finds that. I'm really thankful.
Like
that we
finding a
had that little
positive and a
chat today.
negative is a brilliant quality, honestly.
Absolutely,
Bringing
and the
a fam-
humor, like the humor,
Definitely.
is not lost there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I really like to hear about Denise? See,
Diana.
I told you names are not my thing. There was 2 D initials. That's too many in one conversation. Diana, I love to hear about how she feels about her job and the work that she does. And you're right, like that difference between that it's not just a bump on the head, that it's a brain injury.
Yeah, and the fact that it can be caused not just by accidents, but by other people too. And the fact that there are actively people here at BIRS coming to help, like with many different things like speech, walking, running, learning how to cook.
It makes me feel a little safer. It makes me feel like if something like this happens, or when it happens to someone I know, because it's inevitable to happen to someone I know, that there's this group of people here ready to help and take care.
Yeah, I don't know the exact statistic, but I hear that
I don't know.
But
I
at
don't
least
know either.
But at least it's good to know where the resources are if that ever happens.
Absolutely. Well, think about it. A stroke can cause a brain injury.
Oh, don't say stroke. I hate that.
Bike accidents, domestic violence, car accidents, all of these things. A trip and slip and fall in the winter can cause it's such a broad thing. I think we're all affected in some way. So by knowing someone or experiencing a traumatic brain injury at some level. So really great that these people are here to take care of that.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, now, do you not want to go and check out the skid steer? Like, I want to learn how to drive that thing.
Honest to God,
I think I'd break it, but I still would like to go and learn how to drive it.
When Myles told me he rode a quad, and I rode a quad once, it was like a bull. I could not do it. Riding a skid steer is like possibly even worse, since I don't know farm equipment from like this ring.
It's just amazing. I think it's really amazing to see someone have this incredible life before a brain injury and then find a way back to create that incredible life, to never give up, like he said, to put in all of that work and have all of that support around him. I just think that that's remarkable because not everybody can do that.
Yeah, most
sorry.
people would have given up.
Yeah,
but,
people can do that,
mm-mm.
and a lot of people don't. And I just,
Yeah, most people have given up when it comes to this stuff, but some people come back fighting. Like,
yeah,
whew.
they fight their body
Honest to
and
God,
their
I
mind to come back.
I relate
It's
to Myles' determination more than anyone else because
Yeah.
I'm like, that is a truly inspirational someone, honestly.
We meet cool people, man.
Definitely.
I can't wait to see who we meet next.
Oh, wow.
All right,
Yeah.
that's it for another week. Keep adapting.
Yeah, and stay cool.